to meet the candidates. I hope that following the meeting that after their presentations, you hang around and meet and talk with all of them and ask questions and get to know them. That's the purpose of this. We have 6 candidates running for the board. I'll introduce them. Bob Davis. You want to stand?
Oh. You gotta tell me what to do.
Okay. Stand. Ron Deedy. Bart Ledeke. Phil Mayberry. Paul McDonald. And Sally Peterson. Thank you very much. The way this is going to work, each candidate will have 5 minutes to make their presentation. They will be videotaped, so they will be placed on the website. Following their presentation, there will not be a Q&A, or this could go on long into the night, but the Q&A can occur after they're all done and out walking around. Please feel free to talk with them and ask them questions. We want to thank all 6 of them for willing to serve in this voluntary role. It's really important to the club that members participate, and we appreciate all 6 of them willing to do so. Before we get started, just let you know the board is here. If the board members would please stand so people can see where you're at if you have questions of them. They're all in their black coats except Paradiso, who I don't understand why he's not in his, but so according to our bylaws, that the order of the candidates on the ballot is to be drawn out of a hat by the secretary. And normally that is done with 2 or 3 people around, but we thought it would be well to do that here today. So the order that they will be drawn will not only be the order they will appear on the ballot, it will be also the order they will speak. So no one knows what that order is. We have a Super Bowl hat when the Colts won, being from Indianapolis. I think that's appropriate. And so, Andy, if you would have somebody draw the first name. No, that's my name. Not him. So what name do we have first?
Bart.
Bart will go first. Okay, somebody else? Ron Deedy will go second. Bob Davis will go third. Brazil.
Bill Mayberry.
Will go fourth.
Sally Peterson
Will go fifth, and Paul will go sixth. So the order of speaking and the order they will appear on the ballot: Bart Ledeke will be first, Ron Deedy will be second, Bob Davis will be third, Phil Mayberry will be fourth, Sally Peterson will be fifth, and Paul McDonald will be sixth. So that's how we'll proceed. I will tell you that the ballots to vote will go out sometime between January 20th and 22nd, which is 3 weeks prior to the date the ballots are due in, which will be at the annual meeting, which will be on February the 16th. You must vote when you get your ballots. We have 3 vacancies, and you must vote for 3. If you vote for 2, or if you vote for 4, your ballot will not be counted. If you don't sign the proxy, if you send in a proxy, it will not be counted. So it will be very plainly written on the ballot that you must vote for 3, no more than 3, no less than 3. So that's very important to make sure your ballot is counted. At our annual meeting, for the votes to be counted, we must have a quorum, which is 50% of the voting members. Today we are full. We have 560 members, and we have a waiting list, and as of tomorrow will be 7. So that's where we stand. So we will have to have 280 people in person at the meeting or by proxy to make sure that the ballots can be counted. In the past few years, that's been pretty close, so I encourage you to vote and to, if you're not going to be here, to send in the proxy statement. In the proxy, it doesn't mean you're assigning your vote to anyone else. It's just a matter of accounting for quorum purposes. You still fill out your ballot and it will be counted as you fill it out. So we'll start with Bart. You're up.
Thank you, Larry, and thanks to all of you for coming out this afternoon. I've offered to serve on the Imperial Board because I believe I can make a meaningful contribution to the work of that board. I'll comment briefly on my involvement at Imperial over the last few years, some career components that I think speak to the board activity, and a little bit about planning at Imperial. Linda and I joined the club in 2007. We've enjoyed golf, we've enjoyed the activities, and we've certainly enjoyed meeting some terrific members here. Linda plays with the 9-holers. I play in 2 golf groups. We've enjoyed trivia and bingo and wine dinners. The one nice Thursday night was terrific. And for the last 4 years, I've served on the planning committee of the club. From a career standpoint, right out of college, I worked at Procter & Gamble for a couple of years. I taught high school math for a couple of years, then had the opportunity to go to the University of Illinois for a PhD program in higher education management with a concentration in advanced statistics and research design. After that was completed, I went to Rider College in New Jersey, an institution I knew really very little about, expecting to be there 3 years as assistant to the president, and ended up 32 years later with a career, having served as a dean, academic vice president, and for the last 13 years as president. There are many applicable areas, particularly from those last 13 years, and there really isn't time to do much more than mention them, but some of them are the areas of finance, budgeting, and investments. We had an annual operating budget of about $120 million. Enrollment management, we were always eager, obviously, to have a critical mass of qualified students, and that's somewhat analogous, I think, to our membership efforts here. We had 2 campuses with approximately 60 buildings, so lots of activity in the facilities area, along with the regulatory things, permitting and OSHA and all the things that you get into with that. We had a staff of about 450, so there were lots of HR issues, and our big emphasis there was on staff development, faculty and staff development, which I really found to be very productive. And finally, strategic planning. It had been off to the side a bit. We tried to embed it in the culture so it became a meaningful part of the ongoing management of the organization. With respect to boards, I've had the opportunity to serve on a variety of boards in varying organizations, and I think it's allowed me to understand the fundamental responsibilities and duties and opportunities of a board member. I've served on the board of New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance. Those of you from New Jersey know NJM. It's a large property casualty insurer, and I had the privilege of chairing that board for 3 years. I also served on the board of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. It represents about 20,000 businesses ranging from the large multinationals to the mom and pop grocery store, and it is the principal voice for business in the state of New Jersey, and I chaired that one for a while. Also served on a medical center board, 2 bank boards, and currently serve on a foundation board in Princeton and the board of Hanover College in Indiana. I think from all of these experiences, I pretty well know how to be a contributing board member and would certainly work very hard to be that. Finally, a couple of quick comments about planning. I've had the privilege of serving on the board's planning committee the last 4 years. I think we've made substantial progress, particularly the last year with Jim Kirk's leadership. I think now we need refinement of the plan. We need to flesh it out. We need a firm buy-in. And again, we need to make it a part of the Imperial culture so that planning and management of the organization go hand in hand at all times. I'm not a great believer in detailed long-range planning because if too many variables intervene and the crystal ball gets cloudy. I am a believer in long-term visioning, imagining what the organization can be 8 to 10 years out, and then doing shorter-term continuous planning to try to realize that vision. I think capital planning will be needed to bring to the conclusion the equity issue that we've been dealing with, to sustain full membership, to resolve the facility issues that have been discussed the last few years, to operate with efficiency, and in all the while serving the members as fully as we can. As I said at the outset, I believe I can make a meaningful contribution, and I very much appreciate your consideration of my candidacy. Thank you.
thank you for all coming out to listen to us this afternoon. Let me start out by saying I have been a board member for the last year. I filled the vacancy of a resigned board member, and in the last year I've been chairman of the golf committee. And as a member of as a chairman of the golf committee, we've done several things this year I think that you'll see in the future, especially with our invitational. We've changed the format of the activities around that, and as a result, we have approximately 20 more people who have signed up for that, which is the largest group I think that they've had here at Imperial. We've had, excuse me, we've had the members be involved in the new carts we bought for walking, and that was accomplished over this last summer also. My past history is, from a work standpoint, is that I was a member of Motorola's executive team, where I was the coordinator from the finance department to the 7 offices of the company, which was a very good working experience and educational experience. From there, I went to work in the healthcare industry for 30 years. There, I became executive vice president of a small, not of a small hospital, but of a 500-bed hospital. And at that time, we took that one hospital and made a network of a number of hospitals, nursing homes, congregate living, etc. We ended up being the largest employer outside of downtown Chicago. At that corporation, I took the corporation from a $4 million bottom line to a $30 million bottom line in about an 8-year period. We also at that time got involved in doing hospital bonds, and we did something significant. We floated a $150 million indenture, and turned, with that indenture, we arbitraged it, and we had a 7% return, or 7% arbitrage, which brought us about another $11 million to our bottom line. From an educational standpoint, I went to a small college, St. Mary's College in Winona, Minnesota. I also have a master's degree from Northwestern's Kellogg School of Management, and I have a rather unique certificate. I was privileged to be selected to go to Motorola's Executive Institute, excuse me, in Tucson, Arizona. And to me, that was a very significant certificate, because I was rubbing shoulders with senior people when I was just a young member, just getting started in business. From a board standpoint, I've been on several boards in the healthcare industry. I've been on boards of 2 country clubs. One was singly owned by one individual, so I was a significant person who got the advisory board started, where in the past it was just the owner making all the decisions, and that was a significant difference for the members to get involved. Another board that I was on in Wisconsin, another country club where I was excuse me, where I was on the management committee, I was on the finance committee, I was on the grounds committee, and there we made a significant difference in changing a lot of things with regard to activities, clubhouse, etc. Here at Imperial, I think I can make a significant difference. I've been on the board for a year, got to see how the board operated, the different operations of the country club, and I think in the long run, I can make a significant difference at being a board member for the next 3 years. Just the other day, I got a comment from one of my board members on my hospital board, and he said to me, he said that he felt that I was made a very significant difference in the way the whole healthcare industry went, and our sector of the city of Chicago, and the things that I did there. And I can bring all of these challenges that I had and accomplished over the years to Imperial, and I think make a difference here. I think I have a very strategic and analytical approach to things, and that will benefit me as a board member here. So I look for your vote to be on the board for the next 3 years. Thank you very much.
Greetings. My name is Bob Davis. I've got to stand up, I'm sorry. I'm not going to talk a lot about myself. I'll give you a quick synopsis of my bio that I think is on the website and was given to everybody. But I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I'm an architect. My wife Martha and I got married about 30 years ago, put 2 families together. We have 6 kids and 9 grandchildren. They're all over the place, so it gives us ample opportunity to travel. Martha was at Ohio State University for 40 years as a professor of history, and ultimately is the Dean of Undergraduate Education. 2010 she retired, which gave us an opportunity to think about spending winters someplace other than Columbus, Ohio. And so in 2007 we moved to this little condo development in the northwest corner of Columbus, and met 2 families, the McNaughtons and the Dozes. McNaughtons, we give credit to get us to Naples and Pelican Bay, and the Dozes get full credit for getting us to Imperial. And that's how we got to here, and we're delighted, and we thank them every day for it. I've only been a member for 3 years. We joined in 2013, January, coming up on my 3rd anniversary. And for the last couple of years, I've served on the facility committee with Don Cardizio. And I just got to tell you that Don has given this club a gift by planning long-term maintenance and taking care of this facility. And I have worked with a lot of institutions in my 50 years of being in this business, and a lot of people are not in the same wonderful condition that Imperial is. So I think we owe Don a great gratitude. So why am I standing here today, you might ask? Sonny's smiling at me. I was going through the food line at trivia night in November when we exchanged pleasantries, and then all of a sudden she says, "You have to be on the board." So Barbara, and you understand why we didn't do well the first half of that night. My mind was destroyed by that whole thing. But she called me the next week, and in a very articulate and intentional way explained to me the benefits that were available here, the opportunities that were available in Imperial, and how I might be able to take advantage of them if I served on the board. And she was absolutely right. I mean, when you start to think about it, if you just look at the website and all the people on the board and all the people on the committees, I think there's over 50 involved, and Lord knows how many other committees there are that people are on. As members, we are the stewards of the future of this organization, and if called, we need to respond. I think I'm trying to think, how can I talk about what I do in a way that you can understand, because everybody knows architects speak a language nobody else understands. Our practice is of larger projects. We have complex clients. By that I mean there are very many different kinds of users in any given project. And so it is imperative to us before we start a project that we have an agreement on where we're going and how we're going to get there. And we call that the program of requirements. It's made up of 3 parts: the scope of the work, which is the character of the building, the size of the building, sustainability, LEED certification, all that stuff. It's also made up of how much money we're going to spend to get this building in place, and how much time are we going to take to get it done. I believe, and we preach to all of our clients, that one of the most important things we can do for you is to get this project balanced from day one. And that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to improve the built environment for the last 50 years as an architect. I've been trying to help people understand what they can do, and sometimes they don't think they can do it. We bring people together, we try to balance expectations, and together we try to do good things. And I think that as a board member, that's what I would try to do. I would try to bring people together, balance expectations, and try to do good things. Thank you.
Well, my name is Phil Mayberry. I have 3 guiding principles which I promise to follow as a board member. I will remain faithful to the mission of the club and to the #1 commitment of the board, that this is a golf club. I will put the interest of the club and all the members ahead of my own interests. I have no personal agenda, and I'm not trying to create a personal legacy at this club. I will always take the precautions a prudent person would take. These duties of obedience, loyalty, and care will guide my decision-making, and in particular, my decision-making on financial decisions. I will follow some good advice that was given to me a long time ago. Expect the best, but prepare for the worst. In following this advice, we should never put the golf courses in jeopardy by having too much debt. One question to always ask when we finance something is how many members can we absolutely count on having in order to pay the debt? While we have a few categories of membership, the real money is paid by the voting members. I won't rely on rosy, optimistic membership projections. According to the data provided to me, for the 6 years between 2010 and the end of fiscal year 2015, the average number of voting members was 488, or 72 members below full membership. We've done better. In 2014, we had around 513, and at the end of fiscal year 2015, there were 547 active members and 13 that were on leave of absence. When deciding to take on a 25-year debt, 2 years of membership data, however, does not make a trend. We need to be very conservative when we try to determine who's going to pay the loan back. I believe that reasonable people can reasonably agree to disagree, and compromise is possible. I'll listen to the members, and I will try to represent the best interest of all members, but I'm going to vote according to the principles I've outlined here and in my written statement. I believe the role of the board is strategic, picking and choosing between priorities, focusing on human and financial resources, setting objectives, and rallying the team to work for common goals. Day-to-day club management is not the role of the board. Strategically, for example, reducing the food and beverage loss should be a high priority because we can then use the money saved to support other club priorities. F&B, however, is an amenity, and the goal is reducing the loss, not getting to break even or making a profit. Our current strategic plan calls for accepting a 40% loss gradually, and it seems to me magically, reducing the loss to 35% over the next 5 years. Even this modest goal in the current 5-year plan won't be achieved by just writing it down. We need creative, specific plans. The plan should address 3 areas: increased member utilization to increase top-line revenue in food and beverage. We need to improve our food and service. And finally, the third thing, we need cost containment that's tempered with meeting member expectations. My management philosophy was never accepting excuses as reasons. For example, many people believe that food and beverage utilization is low because a fair percentage of members don't live inside the Imperial gates and don't want to drive to the club to eat. Some truth, but only an obstacle, not a preventer of success. Those outside the gate members are driving somewhere to eat. Some may even drive north on 41 and pass our gate. Why aren't they driving to our club? Is it food quality, service, a poor price value proposition? I'm not sure that I know, but we can find out. Ask members who dine here, why do they dine here? Ask those who don't, why they don't. And if they don't, ask where they do dine out and why, and take that as a clue as to what we ought to offer. The goal isn't a member eating here every night, just more nights. 2 nights instead of 1, 5 instead of 3. And then watch the magic work on our top line revenue. Increase your utilization. So gather information, make some plans, adjust the plans, and if the board makes this a priority and management understands it's a priority, utilization in food and beverage can be increased. The loss reduced and our savings from that applied to other priorities that we have in the club. This morning when I was working on this, I thought about Daniel going into the lion's den. And I don't know why that thought came to me, but I wasn't sure I actually remembered the outcome, so I Googled it. He survived, and I hope I do. So thank you all. You can email me if you have any questions or comments at the easy to remember phil@philmayberry.com. Thanks for listening, and fairways and greens to everybody.
I am Sally Peterson, and I too want to thank you for being here today. In every organization that I have been a part of over the years, I also have had some guiding principles. They are commitment, involvement, open-mindedness. And I try to apply these wherever I am working. For commitment, I believe in order for an organization such as this to be successful, that we have to have members who are willing to step up, who are willing to go the extra mile, put their time and their talent into helping that organization succeed. It would be very easy in this wonderful atmosphere of Naples to just sit back, relax, enjoy the lifestyle. And I do enjoy this lifestyle. But I also feel very strongly that I want to make a difference, and that means I have to make a commitment. For involvement, over the years I've been involved in a number of community organizations, both here and in Wisconsin. But I would like to talk specifically about here in Naples and here at Imperial, because I think we have a unique golf environment here. It is certainly different than what I have experienced up north. To start with, I joined the 18-hole women's group, met a lot of wonderful people, started to work on committees, chaired guest days. Eventually, I became an officer. I was secretary, thanks to Sonny McCown. I was vice president, and I was president. And as such, I helped represent about 1/3 of the golfing population here. Even more importantly, I also served on the golf committee for the club. And that was a fabulous experience, working with the pro shop staff, working with club management, and again, having an impact on the entire golf population. I've also had involvement in the membership committee over the years. And we had some very lean years to begin with. I watched when my husband Les was on the board and saw the need to control the debt, make cuts as was necessary to keep the club viable. I saw how much time and energy went into that. When we had our lean years, the membership committee felt very strongly we needed to be aggressive. We needed to be creative. We need to have a game plan. And so we made a new membership category called the trial membership. We don't offer that anymore. But it was a means to get some people into the club and hopefully have them be involved and convert to regular membership. We decided we needed to kick it up a notch, so then we started a mentoring program, which I was supervising. It gave me the opportunity to interview prospective members, do their orientation, and then with the mentoring, we matched the new member with a current member so that they could be fully incorporated into the life of Imperial. And this was definitely a team effort. But wonderful results came out of that. We were down 100 members at that point, and here we are today with a waiting list. Open-mindedness. In any organization, it is critical to have a dialogue, excuse me, a give and take, listening. It's not what's important to me or what my wishes are, it's what's important for the good of the whole group. I am a member of the remodeling committee, and from the get-go, I urged that we consult members, find out what people wanted. And I'm thrilled that, I think maybe today even, a survey will be going out to all the members. We will all have a chance to be heard. Tell us what you like and what you don't like, what's important to you, what isn't. From that, an informed opinion can be made to help us figure out where we're going with this business that we call Imperial. So there are my guiding principles: commitment, involvement, open-mindedness. I want to thank the Board Resource Committee for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank a number of fellow members and friends who have encouraged me to do this, and I would ask for your support so that we could continue this wonderful experience at Imperial. Thank you very much.
I'm Paul McDonald. Why did I know I'd be last? As a Boston avid Patriots fan being drawn out of an Indianapolis Colts championship game. Honest to God, I sat here saying this is so ironic. Let me tell you, picking up on the New England theme, I am a New Englander. Grew up in a Boston suburb and did my undergraduate at the University of Mass in Amherst, where I was an econ major and played hockey. I took an MBA at Rutgers and did quite well there. I had a focus on accounting at that time. Been married 50 years, or will be in July. I tell people I was born not with a rattle in my crib, but a wedding band. And have 3 kids and 8 grandkids. In fact, this weekend I'm looking forward to skiing with 3 of the grandkids up in the Berkshires, the mountains of Western Mass. Coached youth hockey for over 20 years. Half our year is spent in the Berkshires and half in Pelican Bay, which we like very much, other than days like today that took 40 minutes to drive up Route 41 to the club. Been a member here at Imperial since 2004 and served on the finance committee with John Hystad back in some of the challenging years, to be sure. And I saw the astuteness of the finance committee at the time and how important it was to the success of the club. So I asked myself, how could I add value to this board? And I came up with a couple of points that I think are relevant. I have a strong finance background, number one. I have a CPA, I have good analytical skills, and strategy and planning have always been strengths of mine. I was CFO of a large corporation, and so I know the finance function inside out and upside down. For those of you East Coasters, that was from the ice cream, from the restaurants. There's a pending issue, number 2, on the club renovation and expansion. So let me just for a second, direct some comments towards where I think I could be helpful there. I have a solid background in real estate and development. I sat on the real estate committee at Friendly's for 20 years. We built 700 restaurants, shopping centers, malls, freestanding, etc. I was a trustee for 10 years of the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield. And we built a $50 million Hall of Fame. I was instrumental in that project, hands-on. And as a byproduct of that, the hall said that we know how to run a museum, we don't know diddly about real estate and development. So they created, the hall. This is interesting, the hall's a non-profit structure, and they created a for-profit real estate subsidiary called Springfield Riverfront Development Corporation. I was appointed president of that corporation. And we populated 18 acres along the riverfront with hotels, restaurants, and retail as surrounding the Basketball Hall of Fame. In addition to that experience, on the other side of the ledger, we've had the issue here of what's an appropriate amount of debt, how does it get structured, and so forth. I'm very familiar with capital structures and financing from my corporate days, but in addition to that, I sit on a bank board today, and I sit on its credit and loan committee, so I'm intimately familiar with construction financing and debt instruments from that perspective. The third point I thought was relevant is, Phil has made comments and mentioned in the dining, the food and beverage, if you will. I worked in restaurants through high school and college. Friendly's operated roughly 900 restaurants. And I understand kitchens, and in particular the importance of state-of-the-art kitchen. The design, layout, flow, and function are critical to the quality of the food delivered and the delivery time. So in wrapping up, if you look at the profile, I've been on, I'm not going to entail the details, it's all on the website. I've been on 12 corporate boards, 10 not-for-profit boards, including a golf club in Western Mass. Recently, I served as president of Hyde Park down in Pelican Bay. Half of these 20-some boards, I was either chair or president. I've chaired comp committees, governance committees, audit committees. I've won awards recognizing my contributions to community service. And I think I could make a contribution here with the 35 or 40 years of leadership experience. I would say in closing, I think the membership is blessed with a very, very strong candidate slate. I mean, we could almost throw darts at a board and you'd wind up with 3 really solid members. So I know in prior years there's been a challenge to get people into candidacy equal to the number of slots open. So this year is a bonus crop, if you will, and if you listen to the people, really very, very elaborate and appropriate backgrounds. So thank you.
I hope you noticed, Paul, that the hat we used with the Coach logo was fully inflated when the name. I want to echo Paul's comments. Just outstanding presentations by all 6 of you. Thank you for participating. Thank you for volunteering. I agree this is a very strong slate. I thank Sunny McCowan and her resource committee. Roger White is here. Ed Getz is here. I don't think David Francis is here, but they participated in the selection of these candidates, and of course Phil. put his own name in and got the required number of signatures. So we have a very strong group, and I'm hope and that you will all vote because it does have an important bearing on the future of this club. So thank you for attending. Please grab a drink on your own nickel and meet the candidates. Thank you very much.